Hello, I'm Shivani. Welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is active and passive voice. Before we move further, I would request my new viewers to subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to remain connected. Thank you. Let's get started. Here are two sentences. The boy kicked the ball. The ball was kicked by the boy. Look at them carefully. Both the sentences mean the same. Then what is the difference? Look at them once again. In the first sentence, the subject boy is the doer and the object ball is the receiver of the action. It's the boy who kicked the ball. In the second sentence, the subject of the sentence has changed. Now the ball is the subject. Here, the ball is not the doer of the action, it's the receiver or the recipient of the action of the verb kicked. The first sentence, that is, the boy kicked the ball, is said to be an active voice because the subject, boy, is the doer of an action. The subject is active as it is performing an action. The verb kicked is said to be in the active voice. However, in the second sentence, the subject is not doing anything. It's not active. It's passive. It's the recipient of the action. Therefore, the verb kicked in this case is in the passive voice. Now let's check the rules for changing active voice into passive voice. Rule number 1, the structure of the sentence is changed. The object of the sentence in the active voice changes to the subject in the passive voice. The boy kicked the ball. Here, boy is the subject and ball is the object. The verb kicked is in the active voice. Now when we change it into passive, it will become the ball was kicked by the boy. Now the subject is the ball and it is the recipient of the action. So it is in the passive voice. The verb is in the passive voice. The second rule, the tense remains the same. When we change active into passive or passive into active, the tense of the verb remains the same. For that, the auxiliary verb needs to be in the same tense as the main verb of the sentence in the active voice. So the auxiliary verb or the helping verb remains the same. The tense of the auxiliary verb remains the same as it was of the main verb in the active voice. The passive voice, in the passive voice, the auxiliary verb is conjugated according to the subject. If the subject is singular, then the auxiliary verb will also be in the singular. Here are some examples. Miss Sen teaches English. Now what is the subject? Miss Sen. And the verb is teaches. It's in the simple present. The object is English. Now this sentence is in the active. The verb is in the active voice. When we change it into passive, the object English will become the subject. English is taught by Ms. Sen. Now, English is the subject, is the auxiliary verb because the sentence in active was in the present tense. That's why we use is. And taught is the past participle. Right? Now let's look at another sentence. I wrote an essay. Now, wrote is in the past tense. And I is the subject, I is the doer. That's why it's in the active voice. Now, when we change it into passive, it will become an essay was written by me. Now, wrote, you must have noticed, was in the past tense, simple past. That's why the passive will also be in the past. Therefore, the auxiliary was is in the past. The main verb written is past participle. I am reading a novel. Now this is in present continuous. Am reading. I is the subject. The sentence is in the active voice. A novel is being read by me. Now when we change it into passive, the tense should not change. It should be in the same tense. So the active was in the present continuous. Therefore, the passive should also be in the present continuous. For that we have used being. A novel is being read by me. The artist was making a portrait. Now this is in the past continuous. How are we going to change it into passive? A portrait was being made by the artist. So you see, the tense has remained the same. Now let's look at the structure. In the active voice, what is the structure of the sentence? Subject plus verb plus object. Example, the boy closed the door. Subject plus verb plus object. Boy is the subject, closed is the verb, the door is the object. Remember, only the transitive verbs can be changed into passive voice. This is very important. Please remember. Intransitive verbs do not have objects. Therefore, they cannot be changed into passive voice. Now, the structure in the passive voice. Subject plus auxiliary verb plus past participle. The door was closed by the boy. The door is the subject, was is the auxiliary, closed is the past participle, and boy is the object. Active voice is more direct and easier to understand as compared to passive voice. When the doer is more important, active voice is used. For example, the principal punished the boys. My best friend gifted me a mobile. When the receiver is more important and the doer is unknown, understood, obvious, or unimportant, passive voice is used. For example, my watch was stolen by someone. Here, the by phrase is not used because the doer is not known. The culprit was caught by the police. The doer is understood or obvious. Hence, the by phrase is not required. When we know who performed the action and would like to mention the doer, the by phrase is used. For example, Romeo and Juliet was written by William Shakespeare. However, in such cases, it's more appropriate to use the active voice. So viewers, that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Take care. Bye.